Hi everyone, we're starting a little early. Ooh, this is weird. Okay, so I'm doing this with my backward facing camera, so I really can't see what my camera angle is. So I'm going to get some other things going, but I wanted to have the feed up and ready so when people join in, we can get started. I'm going to switch gears and get my computer up so I can make sure I'm in screen and everything's copacetic. See you back in a sec. I am really, really looking forward to this today. I cannot tell you how much I am looking forward to this today. And my internet runs a little slow here, so if there's ever any lag, we'll blame it on the number of people in my home using technology, which there's 5 adults and everybody has at least one, if not 2, pieces of equipment going all the time. Hi, Joanne and Carrie. I'm glad you found us, Joanne. Woo! I'm so excited. I don't know if you guys can hear. So I'm teleworking and you're in my studio now and my family is upstairs, and my family is not a quiet, calm group. My husband and my 3 adult sons, and they like to mock argue, and it's hilarious. So if you can hear that going, I apologize. And also, just so you know, my setup, the only place I can do this is right underneath the bathtub and the toilet. So chances are we're going to hear flushing, and I hope nobody decides to take a shower, but it could happen. It's happened before. So really cannot wait to get rolling on this. I'm really, really ready. Let me see who else is here. And Blackbird's here! Oh my gosh, it's so good to spend time with you. I keep thinking about the pictures that you showed me of your husband's artwork. Amazing. And the things you did in interior design just amazed me. You are one very talented artist. I can't wait to see pictures of what you're doing tonight. Hey, why don't, when you check in, tell me where you're from and if you're going to be painting along. And if you do paint along, I'd love for you to post pictures in the comments section afterwards when everything's done. I would love that. Yeah, I would much prefer for this to be Zoom so I could see what you're doing as we're going along. But it is what it is. So put in the comments where you're from, because I know I have some Indiana people here. I'm hoping for some Nebraska people and maybe even some, I don't know, Pennsylvania people, since I live in Pennsylvania and work in Pennsylvania now. We'll see. Carrie Bone is going to be painting along with us, and she's from Elkhart, Indiana, one of my favorite places. I love that town. Yeah. Joanne Thompson, where are you from? All right, I usually like to get started about 5 minutes after the posted start time, just to give everybody a chance to get in. But I am going to go through the things that you will need just to make sure I have everything. I just realized I don't have a sponge. One moment. Sponge. Okay, so you are going to need a paper plate for a palette. I have a bunch of brushes here. I will mostly use this 2-inch chip brush, which was not on the supply list, but let me tell you, these are really important for doing large areas. We'll use a sponge. If you have a kitchen sponge, those work really great too for what we're going to use it for. Okay, then this is a 1-inch flat brush. Have you ever wondered why people, when they're showing you things, they put their hands up like that? It's so the camera can focus on the item. All right, and not my face. I have a number 10 round brush. This is a 1/2-inch flat brush. And then I have several like smaller brushes. I don't know that I'll use them, but we'll see. I have a fat point Sharpie pen. And I have an old toothbrush, but we can also use this at the end. We're going to kind of flick some paint around, because if it's too nice and neat, it makes me nervous. I realized I forgot another permanent marker, which I'm just using permanent markers instead of the microns. I'm always afraid that the acrylic's going to get on my micron tips and ruin a $3 pen, so $4 pen depending on when you get it. So I'm just going to use the ultrafine Sharpie. That's the ones that have the flat lid, and they look like that. So hope you guys can see that. And I think that's about all that we're going to need. Oh, paint. So, alizarin crimson, cerulean blue, and I said cad yellow, but come to find out I didn't have any cad yellow in my stock. So this is primary yellow. Titanium white. How many of you buy your paint in pint jars like that? Yeah. So now here's the real deal. I was looking at the picture that I posted on Facebook of this, and its colors are a little more muted. So tonight I'm going to switch out this yellow, primary yellow, for raw sienna. It's still transparent. It's if you switch to yellow ochre, it's going to be really opaque, and I wanted this to be a little more transparent, and raw sienna is kind of like the transparent version of yellow ochre. So, and for those of you that don't know, transparent means you can see through it, and opaque, you can't see through it. Now, here's what I'd like for you to do in the beginning. And I'm going to give this to you to think about, and if you want to discuss it on the comments, that's great too. This painting tonight, I'm calling it one word encouragement. And let me move this so you can see my canvas. And this is the reason I'm doing this rear facing camera, so you can see the word. I'll know here in just a minute if you can see the word now. My word tonight is kindness. And under it, I wrote this quote: "You never know when one act or one word of encouragement will change a life forever." So be thinking about what that one word is that you would like to build your painting on. Because that's what it's all about. Building the painting around this one word. All right, be thinking about that. I'm going to look at comments and be responding to questions. Oh, Joanne Thompson is from Indiana, PA, which those of you that aren't from Pennsylvania, it's really hard to say the whole word Pennsylvania. So we just say PA. So there's a town in Pennsylvania called Indiana, and there's a university there. So it's IUP, which for my Indiana friends, I want to put UI after it, but you know, for those of you not from Indiana, there's a college called IUP-UI, and I don't even remember what it is, but confusing. So when we tell people that we used to live in Indiana, we have to say, we used to live in the state of Indiana. So there's no confusion that we might have lived in the city of Indiana. I know, it's crazy. All right. Oh, Carrie has a friend named Angel who's painting with her tonight. Perfect. And Ann Blackburn is from Mishawaka, Indiana. Oh, and Ann's not going to get to paint along. All right, that's fine. All right. Ooh, and Jody is here. Jody Kessler is one of my volunteers at the Community Arts Center, and I have been missing her so much. Jody, I'm so glad you're here today. Okay. Thank you, Carrie. Carrie says IUPUI stands for Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. How would you like to go to that school? Yeah. Or there's one, isn't there an IUPUI in Fort Wayne also? So it'd be IUPUIFW. Yeah, that's too many letters. Okay. So, have you been thinking about your word? To me, you know, when I posted this class, I thought it was going to be about coming out of Corona-ness. And as states start reopening and people emerge from our caves and we start interacting and all of that. And then, of course, now all of the riots and things that are going on, I decided to go with kindness. Kindness is sadly overlooked a lot. And so that's my word. Whatever word you guys want to incorporate into the painting, and we'll be working on the lettering after we get the background and everything painted. So we're going to paint right over the top of this. But the word and maybe a quote. The original one, I had the word renew, and then I had a scripture on the inside of the flower. So you can make this your own, and however you want to do it, to make it so that it's something that fills your heart and is a blessing to you, then let's do that. All right, so I'm going to spend a lot of time holding my palette up like this. I'll try to get it to where you can see it nicely in the light. We are going to paint the whole background green. And I'm sure everybody knows that blue and yellow makes green. If you want a bright green, this is cerulean blue and yellow, and so it makes a real bright springy green. I, however, wanted this kind of muted, I needed some richness. So get your paint onto your palette and put some yellow and some red and some blue around the edges. I have a stack of paper plates here, so I might use several to get everything done that you need to get done. I think we'll probably, and you know, you can do yours however you want. If you don't like green and orange, buy cracky, make it whatever. Buy cracky. Sorry. Make it whatever color you want, because it's all about what makes you happy. So the cerulean blue and the alizarin crimson makes a beautiful purple. If you drop just a skosh of the white in it, it's going to be lovely. So whatever color you want your background to be, start mixing that up. And a lot of artists use palette knives to mix their paints. I, on the other hand, usually get started and don't have a palette knife with me, so I just use my paintbrush. Oh, one other thing you're going to need is a container of water. Mine's kind of big, but I'm messy. And if you have a rag or some paper towels. All right, so I want you to take your sponge, and I'm going to have to stand up because this is just awkward painting sitting down. So take your sponge, dip it in your water, get it nice and wet, and then squeeze out as much as you can. And I would do this on camera, but we all know how to get a sponge wet. Hi, Carol. I am glad that you happened upon our video tonight, and feel free to observe. If you want to ask questions and comment and everything, people, I want this to be a conversation. I tend to be kind of on the entertainer side of things, but I would rather spend time with friends. So the more you guys comment and ask questions, the more I can feel like I'm hanging out with people instead of sitting in my poor basement trying to get things done. Okay, in an ADHD moment, do you see that lamp over there? That was a globe, and I had so much fun turning it into a lamp. Oh my gosh, that was a ball. Okay, yes, I am an adult with ADHD. My bad. All right, gonna stand up now, and you guys are probably gonna see a lot of my back. Sorry about that. Trisha Schutte has joined in. Ooh, Al Just is here. Al, you should be teaching this, not me. Oh, these are some of my art center people that I miss so much. I can't wait to open up the art center again and start spending time with friends. So Trisha, yes, I cracked myself up. You should know by now that I'm good at that. All right, so I want you to take your sponge into whatever color you want for your background, and we're just going to put a skim coat on it. So I want you to listen, because I want to hear the canvas. Hear that? That's what we want to do. This isn't about covering everything perfectly. It's about getting a basic color on so you're not staring at white canvas, because white canvas can be a little on the intimidating and debilitating side. So I'm also trying to get just, wow, this is all like crazy. Okay, so I want you to cover that and the sides just lightly. And, you know, you can still see my words shining through, so... I didn't mix enough paint for this. La la la. I'm gonna have to get me a nicer easel. That's all there is to it. All right, I'm making some more paint here. The nice thing about mixing paint once you're started is you can just mix it on the palette. So I just have those two globbing together. And basically I'm going to mix it on. And it doesn't really matter that it's not the same color, because, you know, we're just kind of going for a little effect. We'll get full-blown coverage here in a little bit. Now we're back green again. And there will be no making fun of the arm flab. If you aren't already in the arm flab club, you one day will be, and there you have it. My crazy sister sent me a card one time that had an old lady getting a tattoo of an American flag right there. And she said, if my arm's going to be waving, I figure I might as well be patriotic. So she sent that to me many years ago, and that has always stuck with me, that, you know, if I was the type of person to get a tattoo, I might have to get a flag on the back of my arm. All right. Now, to be honest with you, the picture that I used on the Facebook event page was a watercolor painting. So we're going to try and get something of the same effect. All right. So one last piece of equipment that we need, the old blow dryer. Because we have a limited amount of time, I'm not going to sit and yak it up with you for a while, waiting for that to dry. So I'm going to dry us up here. And then that happened. Okay, I already have paint on my hands. Yay! All right, so now what I want you to do is take your Sharpie, or you can use a pencil, whichever you would like. I did this in Sharpie so that you guys could see it on the video easier. If I just did it in pencil, you wouldn't really be able to see. But I want you to draw the center part of your flower. Personally, I think I'm going to move mine up here to where more of the flower, more of that circle shows up instead of just a quadrant of it. So this is, and then in my flower there's these little petals. Sorry, you guys are gonna have to put up with me because I really struggle with words. Lida's here and Sherry's here. So glad you guys are here. Thanks for hanging out with me for a little while. Lida is our #1 top fan at the Community Arts Center. Some of you guys need to start competing with her on that. So I'm not going to go around and draw these because I don't want to be have it kind of dictated to me, but I want to know that there's going to be about 1 inch around that for those little petals, and then another maybe, I don't know, finger's length beyond that for the longer petals. I'm thinking the big petals are probably going to be about the length of my finger all the way around. So I just kind of want to have an idea of where some of those things, oh, that's not far enough, are going to be. So, all right, now is the fun part. Now we get to do the painterly painting, because we're going to do the background. And I don't want you to get uptight about doing the background. I have a long brush, and when I want to not be uptight and I just want a loosey-goosey painting, I use a longer handled brush. Number one, I feel more like an artist, and number two, I have less control. The further up you hold your brush, the tighter everything is when you're trying to do brush strokes. This background is loosey-goosey, so we're just going to be kind of mashing the paint around. If you have a 1-inch brush and want to use that, do it. If you want to use a 2-inch brush and you got one sitting around, do it. I figure some of you guys probably have your can of paintbrushes sitting right there. And so just use whatever paintbrush you want to make you happy. Now I have my yellow and my blue are kind of side by side, and look at that sloppy brush. I'm not even mixing those. I'm just going to come in, and it looks like my blue's a little strong, so I'm coming in with that yellow or raw sienna, and I'm just flipping the paint around. By the way, don't tell anyone, but this area behind my easel has little flecks of paint all over it from me doing this. So just cover your whole canvas. And you know, this painting, it doesn't matter if you're using a square canvas. It doesn't matter if you've got an 8x10. This one happens to be a 16x20 just because for video purposes, that's a little easier to deal with. Now I think I may make mine a little lighter the closer it gets to, what is this? Flower, a flower. Hey EJ, how are you tonight? Is it really EJ or is it the whole fam? EJ is from Johnstown. Lida and Al and Sherry are all from the Johnstown area. You know what? I just realized I don't think I ever really introduced myself. Hi, everyone. I'm Jen with the Community Arts Center. Everybody calls me Miss Jen. Still, Carrie Engel. Bone. They still call me Miss Jen. I have people with grandkids that call me Miss Jen because I worked with them when they were kids. I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator for the Community Arts Center of Cambria County in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. So we have been closed for the last couple months, much to our surprise, and looking forward to starting the process of reopening so that we can have classes and camps again. Oh my gosh, you guys. Those of you that know me know I love doing stuff with kids. Doing art with kids thrills me like nothing else. and we have 30 art camps coming up. If our governor lets us do fun stuff like that. So I cannot wait. And if you would like any information on that, you can go to caccc.org. That's caccc.org. I started that in a video, and now I have to do it every time. And sometimes I like it, and sometimes I don't. So that's who I am. When I'm not at the Community Arts Center, my husband's a pastor here locally, and I'm super involved with the church here, and it's one of my lifelong passions. But doing artwork is also one of my lifelong passions, and so being able to work at the Community Arts Center sure does give me the opportunity to live out those things that I'm so passionate about. All right. Whew. Oh my gosh, I just saw the video. People, I'm sorry about the arms. It is what it is. I should have worn a long sleeve shirt. I'm going to go like this now. How's that? You guys, if we can't laugh at ourselves, what in the heck are we doing? Like, laughing at myself, that's just fun. All right. And be sure you go around the edges as you're painting. Unless you're planning to get this framed, it looks pretty weird to have white edges. Now you can, after it's all dry, you can take a single color and just go around the edges, but that's a whole lot more work. It's just easier to throw some paint on it while you're painting. And I'm going to come around down here. The downside of painting with an easel is painting where the clamps are. The upside of painting on an easel is you feel like a real artist. All right, I'm just going to flip this over so I can more easily get the sides and the spaces that I've missed. So I never really considered myself an artist. I always thought I was a crafter. Until I was sitting in an accounting class at Goshen College. For my 50th birthday present to myself, I went back to school full-time and worked full-time at Linton's Enchanted Gardens. That's where I met Anne Blackburn. Anyway, I started doodling, and people in my classes started commenting on all of my doodles, and then a friend of mine said, hey, look up Zentangle. And so then I knew that my doodles had a name, and bingo was its name-o. And Zentangle was its name-o. And that started the journey. Then my best friend Michelle asked me if I would draw the artwork for her daughter's wedding invitation. Oh my gosh. You talk about, there is some real pressure there. Okay, I'm going to stop storytelling here for a minute. And you know what? If it gets boring, just say, hey, Jen, that's a boring story. Stop, and I'll eventually catch that. I'm having trouble with my paint covering all of my words here, and I really want them covered. You can't tell on the video very much because of the shimmer shine. I'm gonna put just a little bit of white in here to add some opacity. It's going to block that from being able to shine through. I just want a little bit though, because I don't want this to go all pastel, because it's going to go muddy really quick because of that raw sienna color. All right. Oh, Carrie Bone says, I'm glad you're still you. Yeah, that has never changed. Oh, and TJ's painting with us too. Great. You guys, you're having like a painting party at your house. Okay, so I'm just taking some of this white, and I'm just gonna, I know, it's a lot, isn't it? But I'm just gonna work it in. And that is just gonna block that and give it a little extra texture. Let's bring some more. Oh, see, I'm going too icky. It's, I'm gonna dry that and come back over the top of it. White can be your friend or your enemy. And right here, it's my enemy. But I need it to cover up all that writing. All right. Oh, there you go. When you tighten up your easel locks, that helps a little. All right. I'm just finding where those words, you know, I suppose it wouldn't be that big of a deal if the words shine through, but that just wasn't what was in my head. So, all right. You might want to mute your device that you're watching this on. I'm going to dry this. It'll be loud. All right. Whew. I don't know. Did you guys see me drip over that? Surely not. All right. So this isn't completely dry, and every time I do a video where I use a blow dryer to dry it, people always ask, how do you know when it's dry? When you catch the light on it and it's glossy or shiny, it's still wet. If it's matte or flat, then it's dry when you're dealing with acrylic. All right, so I'm going to come back in these spots and put some more green in it, and I think I got a little too much texture, and I'm not sure I want that texture. So I'm going to take Mr. Sponge here and just do the same thing that I did to tone it. And you can still see the texture. I tell you what, painting is nothing but a huge experiment. Because what I thought in my head was going to turn out is not turning out. And so I'm really liking this look of going over the top. That white down there was really wet still. Oh no, it wasn't. It was that I just stuck my sponge in the white on my palette. Well, we'll take care of that. Rinsing out my sponge, and we'll try this again. I'm going to put that white more at the top. Oh, there you go. All right. And I'm totally in love. Here, I did it again. I'm totally in love with this color palette. I ordered raw sienna for the art center by mistake, and decided to use it in a pumpkin painting over the fall, and totally fell in love with what it does with the blue and the and reds. Wait till you see the orange it makes. Woo, it's dreamy. And I'm a bright, vibrant color person, but okay. I'm going to dry this background again, and then we're going to shift into flower. If I'm going too slow or too fast for you guys that are doing the paint along, have somebody stop long enough to give me a message so I know, because I don't want it to drag if you're already done and you're just waiting while I'm yapping away. But if I'm going too fast, I want to know that too. Okay, I'm going to do that. I might not like myself for doing this, but I'm going to bring you guys in for a close-up because the texture on this is just wow. Let's see if I can get it to where the light isn't reflecting too bad. Ooh, so you can see all those brush strokes, but then the striations, the stripes are kind of going over the top of it. I'm going to come from this angle. There you go. You can see it a little better. I'm just totally in love with this effect. So glad that I messed things up and fixed it this way. All right, now the fun will be trying to see if I can get you guys back anywhere close to where you were. Oh, hey, that was much easier. All right, now I want to do, I was going to say the inside, but you guys, if we do these first, then you can rest your hand where those flower petals are going to be. and not have to worry about not touching this, because I'm sure none of you have those fancy things that professional artists use that they rest their arms on. If you have not discovered on YouTube Portrait Artist of the Year, find it. Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. All right, so I'm gonna work on these petals. Oh, if I can ever remember. All right, so I'm doing mine orange, and I'm using this beautiful raw sienna that's officially a brown. Those of you that have had babies, you know this color. And I'm going to use my round brush. And I'm going to be a little carefuler, a little more careful to mix this, because yeah, I just want the petals to be a little more a little better detailed. All right, so once I get this kind of mixed, that's just a oopy goopy beautiful kind of coral color, but totally toned down. Now I'm going to wash my brush out because it had just too much paint in it. And after you wash out your brush, you don't want to stick it in the paint while it's still really wet. You're going to want to dry it, because the water comes up here, and then yeah, then you end up with a big dribble drip. All right, so we talked about the petals being about a finger, the length of a finger. And here is the great stroke for making flower petals. Now the petals I'm going to be making are kind of about the same shape as this here, only longer. So I'm going to use this brush and just kind of glop it on and come down. That looks very red. So I'm going to get more of this raw sienna in there. There we go. And if you don't make it all the way to where the center of your flower is ending up, that's okay. And I'm kind of, because we're going to fill in all this space with these little guys. And if each petal isn't really perfect, there's no one in the world that really cares. Unless you do. And if you care, work on fixing it. Okay, I'm going to divide this flower into quadrants so that I don't end up with, you know, oh, there's going to be a flower there. So I don't end up with the petals going in a weird direction. So I'm just seating my brush in and then pulling it down. I'm kind of twisting as I get down close to, what is this part called? The center, where all the seeds are, that spot. And these over here, I'm gonna make these petals extend over the edge, because I'm not framing this. All right. And I'm really liking the fact that even though I said I was mixing this up better, I'm not. Hey, Steve, I'm glad you're here watching this with us. Oh my gosh. So, when my sons were young, Carrie, I'm going to tell the story. When my sons were young, we moved into this house that the fixtures in the main bathroom were this crazy, hideous, this was the 90s, light aqua color. They would be really popular, you know, like the last 10 years, they would have been quite the thing, but in the mid 90s, it was hideous. And so I decided to paint an ocean scene in all of in the bathroom, and behind the toilet there was an octopus. So to scare my sons when they sat down in the bathroom, because that's the kind of mommy I am. But I had a lot of fun doing that. I just thought that everybody could whip out a kid's coloring book and create a mural on a bathroom wall. Like, I just thought that everybody could do that. And I really think with an overhead projector, most people could. It's just most people don't think of doing those things. There were mermaids and a shipwreck and a walrus and killer whale jumping out of the water. Had a lot of fun doing that. The next house we moved into had a rainforest. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not digging these flower petals. I may have to come in with a lighter yellow and brighten them up a little bit. And they're spaced so far apart. I'll keep working on it. For those of you that are looking at it going, oh, wow, that's kind of, yeah, I agree. I think I'm just going to widen the bases. I'll just widen them all. So to widen these, I'm just taking my brush and globbing it. I still want them to be a little wider on top. I'm probably going to end up really screwing this up. That's the joy of painting, isn't it? You start out fixing something, and then you end up just making it worse. But my this TV show, or this British show I've been watching, Portrait Artist of the Year, you know, some of the artists that are in this competition, they have 4 hours to paint a portrait. And sometimes they start over. Some of these people are professional artists, and they get into it and they have to start over because something goes haywire and they just can't quite get a handle on it, so they just start over. Yeah, I think that's helping a lot to widen the base. And I like putting the different colors in there too. Trying to remember who the artist was. If any of you know, like back in the 70s, in the Bob Ross era, Alexander, like he would fire that paint in there, just push it in. And that was never really my way of dealing with anything. So I was really happy when Bob Ross came along, and we had happy little trees and, you know, that kind of stuff. Now I don't want to get a whole lot of more paint on here because I still have to get those little petals around the center of the flower. So you might want to mute your your device for a little bit because I'm getting ready to dry this. I think this circle would come here. Let me get a couple more petals down here. All right. I'm not going to work on getting the outside of these petals all the way dry because I got that paint pretty thick and I don't want to have this going for like 15 minutes trying to dry it. And I'm going to sit down for a little bit while I'm doing this. And no, that wasn't a beer I just popped open. It was coconut water. All right. Whew. So I think for the next flowers, the brighter the colors, the more forward they look like they are. So I think I'm going to bust out my primary yellow and just add it to the mix that I already have for these. And that will make it look like they're in front of these petals. So, ooh, that was close. So I'm just going to put some right in the middle of all of that. And I'm still going to use my round brush for them. Oh, my friend's Art Kitty is here. I have a cat that does not like affection or attention. She doesn't want to be around people, but every time I'm on Facebook Live, the cat shows up. Mostly she likes to drink my paint water, and I know it's probably not healthy for her, but how are you going to stop her? You know, cats. Okay, so I've got this gorgeous bright yellow here, and I'm just going to tone it down a little bit. And I've got these guys over here. So I think I'm going to just make it look like, you know how, like fingerprints along in there. Just the length of my paintbrush, and just tap it on. And I'm not going to be able to do this sitting down. Not at all. But oh, it needed that brighter yellow. This primary yellow is very transparent. So mixing it with the raw sienna is going to help. I'm not getting it down to the center. Nobody's ever told me what the center of a flower is called. I'm sure there's a botanical name for it. And yes, I did used to work at a garden center. Thank you very much. But let me just tell you, I have killed more flowers than most people will ever own. And it used to crack me up when people would call, and immediately I would answer the phone and they would start asking questions, and I'd be like, no, I run the office, thank you. I'm not here to tell you how to save your plant. That's not my job. Kitty, kitty. Well, she's looking at me and she rubbed on my legs, but she's not going to jump up where you guys can see her. Because, you know, that might make me happy if she were to do that. All right. Ooh, I'm really liking this. When I'm painting, I usually have music on or a show that I'm very, very familiar with. The director at the Art Center thinks it's crazy. Like NCIS, I'll paint to that all day long. Because I know all the characters, I know their voices, I don't have to watch the show. And she's like, how do you paint those happy paintings that you paint and watch murder shows? I'm like, well, you know, I do. So what do you like to do when you're painting? Do you like to have music on? Do you like to have a show on? Oh, audiobooks. I also do audiobooks a lot. But I don't normally talk a lot while I'm painting. Number one, no one in my house wants to come and hang out with me while I'm painting. It is rather boring, I'll have to say. This is Art Kitty. She doesn't like people. I'm surprised she's letting me hold her this long. Okay, just had to get her in the video. Her real name is Socrates. My youngest son is into philosophy and he named the cat, so that's what we've got. All right, now I'm just going along and adding some little highlights if I feel like it needs it. I'm going to have to get that white off this palette. I keep popping into it. All right. Now I'm going to do the interior. Carrie says her husband Travis likes it to be quiet when he's painting, but she uses praise and worship music unless she's in a Beatles mood. Yeah, if you're in a Beatles mood, you got to go for it. Okay. For the inside of this, I'm going to use my big old chip brush. And I don't know what color I'm going to do for the inside of the flower. I just don't know. But I do know that I can see a word coming through really strong right there. So all right. I'm going to do a dark green. Now, because I did this in watercolor the last time, part of me wants to get the paint all loose and see if I can get some drips going. But I don't know. So I'm just going to go get some circle action going here. There. Oh, Sydney joined in. Hey, Sydney. Sydney is interning at the Art Center this summer, so we get to spend a lot of time together, whether you like it or not. Poor Sydney. All right. Just to give this some extra texture, I'm just tapping my paintbrush in, and I'm telling you what, that blue is not wanting to stick. I've got too much paint going on here. The raw sienna is a lot thinner than the paint that's on here, so it's sticking, but the other isn't. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna make a mess out of it, so I'm gonna take a second and dry this so I can work on getting a little texture going. Alrighty. So this all looks very flat to me. So I'm going to come in right along the edges with some purple. Purple is made for shadows. So I'm going to take some of this blue and bring it over here beside the alizarin crimson. Grab some of that crimson and create that gorgeous purple that cerulean and alizarin make together. Then I'm going to rinse out my brush. Oh, didn't dry it off enough. It just dripped. Then I'm just going to come around the edges here and just make it look like this is domed. And then I'm going to put some lighter color right in the center. Look at that. Look at that purple. Isn't that gorgeous? It got a little heavy right on the edges, so I just added some water to kind of smooth out those edges a little bit. All right. Now I'm going to get my old chip brush going again. You know, these chip brushes, they're like $1.50, something like that. And they're usually in the paint department or in the not the craft paint, the painting paint department. Or in the hardware section, because yeah, and you can use them and abuse them, and they just keep right on going. But they're really good for adding lines and textures. Oh, there's what we needed, you guys. Oh, that cinder looks so cool now. It just needed that dry brush texture. So the technique that I used, I'm going to use the same thing with the raw sienna. You get your paintbrush all scruffy and dry, and the bristles going every which way. You tap it into the paint you're going to use, and then you tap it. I don't know if any of you have ever done stenciling. It's the same technique that you would use for stenciling to get most of the paint off, and then just a wisp. I think that's a Bob Ross. Just a wisp. You're just barely gonna let it touch the canvas. And then you get really bright brush strokes. There you go. I think I'm going to say that's done. All right. So now we're going to let this section dry. And I don't know if this is going to be dry enough by the time we're done with the other word. By the time we put the word of the night up here. But you can just, don't feel like you have to do this in anybody's handwriting but your own. It doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be exact. This is your word. I'm going to get a pencil and write kindness out here. I think I might kind of wrap it around a little bit. Just because it'll go with the flow of the painting. And then if we have time and if this is dry, I'm going to put this, you never know when one kind act or one word of encouragement will change a life forever. That's what I'm going to put on the inside. So let me go get my pencil. Well, so I'm just going to do this in cursive. I don't know. Sounds good to me. I'll be right back. I got a message. Okay. I now know when worship team practice is. I thought it was something else. Okay. So I'm going to do this kind of on the fancy side just because I like to. There we go. Kindness in cursive. If I was doing this for somebody else, I would probably choose a font and print it out on my computer. And then either trace it on there or have it right there and very carefully draw it on before. But I'm doing this for me. This will hang in my studio and remind me of the kindness of others that have made my life what it is. So then I'm just taking my big fat Sharpie and writing my words. And I'm going to concentrate for just a little bit. So it's going to go quiet. Oh, that paint wasn't dry. Now, I'm not staying exactly where my handwriting was, so I'll have to come in. I'll use a kneadable eraser to get that those pencil marks off. I don't think it's going to matter that much because you can still see the other words. And maybe I'll take a gray marker and just fill this up with words of kindness, words of encouragement. So that's pretty dark, and I knew it was going to be that way. So I went and got my white paint marker, and hopefully I won't ruin this too badly. Much better. Much, much better. And I'm not trying to go exactly where my Sharpie is. I'm just going to get close. When we get over here, I'm going to skip that point. I want this to have a looseness to it. So the fact that they don't match up perfectly is just fine with me. And I'm kind of really liking that with the white. Kind of really liking it, she says. So those of you that are in the state of Indiana, do you get to go out to restaurants and fun stuff like that? Because in Pennsylvania, we're hoping that things will open up tomorrow and we'll be able to start enjoying life again. Let me know. I know we were in the state of Indiana about 3 weeks ago, and my husband got to eat at Perkins, and it was like, woohoo, dinner at Perkins, how exciting. I didn't get to, but we did get to have our favorite pizza ever at Bruno's Pizza. So we were happy about that. All right, I'm going to take this purple here. Like, it's still bothering me that I can see that light color back there. Nope, I'm not going to do that. Okay, I thought I was going to fix that, but guess what? I'm not. All right, So next thing that I'm going to do is dry this and see if I can get my quote in there. All right. I'm going to try using this ultra fine and see if it's big enough that I'll be able to read it. I don't necessarily want that to be the, like when you come up, you want to read the words. I just want the words to be a little bit of an afterthought. Okay, I'm going to have to do this just with my back to you guys. So sorry. You can't see the black at all. Okay. Thank goodness for art supplies. Gold paint marker. There we go. Or one. Word of encouragement. All right. Now I'm going to come back here and do the next part of the phrase below here. You never know when one kind act or one word of encouragement, and you guys can see this, like it's just not, it's my regular old, not all that good handwriting. Of course, now I'm thinking I need to add little pieces of gold somewhere else around in here, because the way it looks on screen, it's so bright. Oh, Ann and Steve, you are right. Bruno's is awesome. And Carrie, we were in town to help the Bonds load up their truck to move to Montana, because we figured that was the least we could do because they helped us load our truck up numerous times. And so we were in town for like 18 hours is all. But I'll make sure, Carrie, that you know the next time we're coming to town. I'm just putting a few highlights here and there in this gold. Not every petal, just here and there to give it a little sparkle, a little bling. I'm not the bling girl. I'm the, if it's rusty and ugly, that's the things that make me happy. Oh, good job. That paint was wet. I got wet paint on my paint pen. Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys might need to help me out. What needs to come in here? I feel like there needs to be more. Oh wait, we've got paint splatters to do still. And then we're pretty much done. So I'm going to get my paint, and I think I'm going to splatter this raw sienna in here so it'll give the effect of seeds, and maybe some of the blue out here. So I'm gonna take this raw sienna into another, this one I was using for my gold pen, and I'm gonna get this pretty wet and load it into my toothbrush. And this is why there's stuff all over there, because I love splattering paint on. Oh, there's what it needed. I think it's going to need a little bit of blue also for a little bit of dark accent. So I'm doing the same thing. I'm just getting it wet and sprinkling it in. Now, if you don't have a toothbrush handy and you don't like your hands to get all nasty like that, you can also take a paintbrush that has a little bit longer bristles, like this one. And I'm going to take some of this orange and bring it out here. Like pollen floating through the air. Yeah. Because we all love all that pollen in the air. I mean, I love my flowers, love my trees. Like that the bees take care of it all, but oh, allergies, my goodness. Okay, so I've got that goopy mess going there. I'm going to try and get a little more of the yellow. Ooh, I got a good splotch there. That wasn't what I was planning for, but I'll take it. Now, I was flipping it with my finger. You can also tap it against your wrist. Oh, I just got it in the face. And just a few more splatters, and I think we'll call it done. Now, if you want to use a Sharpie pen and sign your painting, that's your prerogative. If you're going to enter this into an art contest, don't use a Sharpie pen, use a paintbrush. I'm not going to be entering this into any art contest, so I am just going to sign it. And I like to put the year that I make it because I don't have a memory. So there you have it. Kindness. You never know when one act or one word of encouragement will change a life forever. So Carrie, your crew, what words are you guys putting on? And Joanne, I don't suppose you would be willing to take a picture of yours. You might not be able to with running live. So, because that's the hard part, is I can't see what you guys are doing. And I would sure love to. So if you can tell me, Carrie, I thought you were saying that your word was forgiven. Oh, that would be a great one to do. But I'm forgiven. Oh, for not telling you that I was coming to Elkhart. Yeah. Joanne says she's happy about how hers is looking. I am too. I don't usually connect really, really well with paintings that I'm doing in a class like this, just because I'm concentrating on teaching technique, I'm concentrating on talking, I'm thinking about what people are posting, and I'm not really paying attention to the painting and the composition itself. So I don't usually enjoy the paintings that I do in classes, but this one I'm particularly enjoying, and I'm thinking this is going to go in my office when I get to go back to my office, which will be next week. I didn't get any gold over there, and here's some more that needs. And thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, forgiveness is something we all need to look at. And I think if we as a country started thinking forgiveness instead of you're wrong, I'm right, you're left, I'm right, you're conservative, I'm liberal. You know, if we started thinking about how we've all messed up, and how we've all hurt people, and we've all thought wrongly of people, forgiveness, yeah. We've all done wrong things, and we need to forgive each other, and we need to forgive ourselves, and we need to forgive our cat that's trying to eat our paint. Go. So I think that's what I really struggle with in the news today, is everybody's pointing fingers, and we need to point fingers at ourselves and look at ourselves and see what could be fixed on the inside of me, not what should be fixed on the inside of you. So, wow, that went deep real quick. So anyway, kindness and forgiveness, those are the things that we really need to be looking at. And that's why I'm so glad that I chose to do this painting right now. It, like I said in the beginning, totally different set of circumstances than what I thought it was going to be when I posted this event, I think it was about a week and a half ago. How the worm has turned. So when I do the kids' classes, I always end with, and remember, be kind. Miss Jen loves you. And that's how I end it, because I want them to always have the reminder that there's someone that loves them and there's someone that's saying, be kind. All right. So I'm going to sign out in just a couple minutes. Does anybody have any questions or any last comments before we end this live time? Let me check the screen. Okay, so Carrie says, I'm also making globe lights in my office. They're going to have pink oceans. Oh, yeah. And Carrie, just so you know, I did another one for Bryce's room. He's got this whole travel journey vibe going for, he's for those of you that don't know my middle son, Bryce, he's an author. He's on the autism spectrum and has overcome so much. But he wants his room to have the feeling of almost like Bilbo Baggins, and it's just such a fun room. And so I made a globe lamp like this one over here for his room, but I left the globe plain, but I still drilled all the holes in it. Let me just tell you, that's not an easy thing to do. Call me sometime, I'll walk you through it. And yes, Carrie, that speck thing. We're so worried about the speck in someone else's eye that we don't see the log in our own eyes. It's almost like Jesus knew what he was talking about. Go figure. Okay, so you guys, I have loved spending the evening with you. This has just been even better than I thought it was going to be. So thanks so much. Be watching for the next time I'm doing a live painting show or crafting show. I am way more comfortable doing the crafting stuff. And I hope to start doing more of those once we get things rolling for camps. So I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with me. Bye-bye.